Welcome to the Bombshell Business Podcast, where driven fempreneurs learn how to become more bold, brave, and unwaveringly confident. Turn your dreams into actionable, marketable, and profitable plans and make your business irresistible.
Welcome back, Bombshell, to the Bombshell Business Podcast. I am your host, the Velvet Machete, Amber Hurdle, coming to you with lots of love, straight talk, and actionable advice for you to apply as a fempreneur in your business. This is episode number 24, and any show notes, any mentions that I say today, if you go to amberhurdle.com/podcast with an S and look for episode 24, you will be able to find all the goodies that I talk about today. So we've got some catching up to do. I want to give some shout outs to listeners and to some people that have just sent me some amazing messages via email or social media. I've got tons of news to share with you. And then I also have an opportunity I want to share with you that I feel is very important, especially right now. I'm seeing just a trend, and I have a solution for you because, you know, that's what I do, yo. So let's dig in. So again, thank you all for the emails that you send me, the Facebook messages that you send me, the Twitter direct message that you send me, the Instagram messages that you send me. You have made me cry on more than one occasion, and I am no softie. I have been on the road to go to dinner with friends and just started boo-hooing because of just the amazing things that you share with me. I'm just elated that you're talking, or rather you're taking the things that we talk about on this podcast and applying them in your business and in your life. That's what it's all about. And even some of my vendors have reached out and said, you know, Amber, when you tell your bombshells this is what you should do, they do it because they're getting contacted and you're action takers, and I love that. So thank you. I just, when I say shoot me an email or let me know what you think, like, people really do that. So you should do it too. And I really, really respond. In fact, some of y'all might, you know, if I've responded to you, put in today's show notes in the comments, because I do. And I think about the things, the problems that you have, and just everything that you're going through. I have so many people I want to give shout outs to, and there's so many, I don't even know where to begin. But you know who you are. Lots of salons and boutiques and spas. You guys are crushing it out there. So keep up the good work. Keep listening. And of course, let me know what it is that you want me to talk about on the show, and what type of experts you want me to get on here. And I'll get into that with our updates as well. I also want to address a couple reviews. So the first one is titled "The Voice in My Ear" by soon-to-be fempreneur. And I know who this is, so very sweet. She's a loyal listener, and she's one of the people who reached out to me, I believe, on Facebook, and we got to talk, and she's an official Bombshell now because she did register for the Bombshell Business Bootcamp. And she says, "I literally can't gush enough about what this podcast and Amber have done for me. I've been wanting to leave corporate America for so long, and I haven't. Fear and the unknown has held me back. Listening to Amber, and I'm actually listening to these for a second time, has helped push me over the line of indecision into action. I'm going after my dream to start my own business. I'm so thankful to Amber. It literally feels like she's talking directly to you and coaching you through each hurdle that frankly we put in front of ourselves." Amen, sister, on that one. I could go on, but whether you're starting or have your own business or have goals for yourself in a corporate job, this is a podcast for you. Thank you, Amber. You're a bombshell forever, JC. JC, you know, you are such a talent, and I can't wait to see where you go. I'm just chomping at the bit to fast forward to see the launch of that business. So more to come on that. Maybe we could do a follow-up once you're all official and out of corporate America. And then I also have another 5-star review, so thank you so much for that. And this one, though, is titled, "I love you, Amber, but ... So this is from Southern, it's GUI 54, so I think that's Southern Guy 54. He says, I'm assuming this person said, I'm assuming he. I love listening to all of your info and past experiences. However, I'm a male, not a female. You may want to chill a bit on the female stuff. I'm a SC guy, so maybe South Carolina, and feel your vibe, but try not to be so ... All stylists are women. That said with love, really. Southern Guy 54, I am giving you love back, and I so appreciate the review, and I do appreciate that feedback. But here's what I want to share with that, is that you have to pick a niche, dude. I mean, you got to pick who you speak to, and I have to pick who I speak to. So obviously, I talk about my Bombshell boys, and I do try to acknowledge the men who listen to this podcast, and I've coached countless men over the years, and I've supported a lot of male leaders. And when I go into corporate, it's really not a gender thing; it's all leaders, and it's all about employee engagement and company culture and internal branding yourself from the inside out. But for this particular podcast, my description for it literally says Amber Hurdle teaches women in business, female entrepreneurs, small business marketing. These are some of the things that are in my iTunes. That it says the description for this podcast says driven women business owners and leaders passionately improve the lives of their families, communities, and the customers they serve. These female professionals join Amber Hurdle each week as she uses her experience working with international celebrities and Fortune 100 companies to show women, small business owners, and beyond how to play big. Through strong company cultures, branding, marketing, networking, business systems, and smart employee practices, women in business can and will change the world. So you can see I'm not hiding who I'm talking to. The very definition of a bombshell is a bold, brave, female fempreneur. So it's a female entrepreneur. And the thing is that if you don't tailor who you're talking to, then you don't get the reviews like from JC that says it feels like she's speaking directly to you. So if you try to talk to everybody, you talk to nobody. But I'm hearing you tell me that you do want me to chill out on that, but you're still finding value in it. So I'm reaching the people who I'm most meant to serve so that they can feel that extreme connection with me. And then everybody else who listens, they're still going to get something too. It's just not going to be as strong of a connection. So while I do absolutely appreciate you listening, you taking the time to give me that feedback, and the fact that you're applying things, I can't change I choose not to change because I'm called to speak to women. So on that note, I'm sorry, Southern Guy, one more knock, I think, for you, and I hope that you'll stick with me. Email me, amber@amberhurdle.com. We could have a total dude conversation. Most people tell me I have a masculine energy anyway, so it's almost hysterical that I do have such a strong heart for women. But so coming up, I have a book launch date. It is going to be October 1st. You can find the Bombshell Business Woman on shelves. And so here's the dealio. This book is going to be specifically for female business owners. We're going to talk about a lot of the same things that we talk about on the podcast, but get a little more in depth. We're going to talk about the mindset. You know, my mission is empowerment and business mastery. So it's not just about the fundamentals of business or your business acumen or marketing or branding or operational systems or things like that. It's also the empowerment piece. And what I've found, and this Southern Guy is why I do speak to women specifically, is because I know our problems. I know the problems, and I'm not saying that guys don't have problems. In fact, I just had this conversation with a dear friend who was a former employee of mine today. And, women, it's like, we work and we're gone from our families all day, just like husbands are our male counterparts. And then we come home and it's like, who's got time or energy to cook a full-blown meal every night and be Pinterest perfect? And, we don't expect that necessarily of men, and we're getting there. I'm not like man bashing. I'm not saying that women have not come a long way in society, but there's just not this pressure that men put on themselves to have like a perfectly balanced meal on the table after working 10 hours that day, and then getting up to work out. And you're probably not going to see most men struggling with their skincare routine to make sure that they don't get wrinkles so they can stay competitive against, their counterparts in business. We just have different layers, and a lot of it we put on ourselves. We do. And JC said that even in her review, that a lot of our limiting beliefs we put on ourselves. But the bottom line is that they're there. Now, guys, I understand you have different challenges. You have a hard time being, quote, allowed to be vulnerable. There are expectations on how much you provide, and just being kind of in your face, and maybe not in your face, but a little more aggressive than a woman is expected to. But then on the flip side, if a woman's too aggressive, then she's not attractive. So not to women because they're intimidated by her, and not to men because they don't always like that a woman can outperform them. So we all have our things. My book is going to speak to the things that I just said about women, and we're going to overcome some of those obstacles, and then I'm going to lay out step by step what exactly you need to do in your business to become a bold, brave, and unwaveringly confident fempreneur, just in business and in life. So more to come on that. I do have so many words written, but I'm going like crazy. My deadline for the manuscript to get to the content editor is April 4th. So all prayers are appreciated. Oh, and I should also add in there too, and I talk about God on this podcast, and if you don't love Jesus, you are still absolutely a bombshell. You still absolutely can get a lot from this podcast and from the book. But I can't help but talk about God because, it's a big part of my life, and it's part of how I do business. And I also know, getting back to niching, that a huge portion of my listeners, they're not Bible thumpers. They might not be super religious, but they are spiritual and they do love Jesus. So they probably fall in the category of, I love Jesus and I cuss a little, and I also like my wine. So I'm speaking to that too. And so because of that, apparently I talk about God really not that much, but too much to be considered general business. So I am going to be in just in categories. If you get on Amazon, like you search me, you would never ever know. But this was a little bit of a struggle for me to wrap my mind around, that I would be put in the Christian lifestyle, Christian living / business, and I'm like, I don't have a Christian business. That's and something that I really pride myself on is just not being perceived as judgmental, and really being open to all walks of life, and learning from different experiences. My path is my path. And so it was very interesting that all happened the way that it did. And then I'm also super excited because I just want you to right now, I want you to Google female Christian business expert and tell me who you find. Nobody. And that's scary. Now, and I know there's some more mild temperamented, is that a word? There's some women out there with more milder temperaments. Maybe they're not like super driven. Maybe they never pick up a glass of wine in their life. Maybe they never say that SHI bleep word, more than twice in their whole entire life. But that's not my person. And so we don't necessarily have somebody to look to. So I'm like, well, okay, fine. I'll write the book. Good, whatever. So more to come on that. Also, I have recently become certified as a Fascinate certified advisor. So if you go to my resources page on my website, amberhurdle.com / I believe it's resources. Let me look. Yeah, resources. One of the personality assessments that I highly recommend is Sally Hogshead, How to Fascinate. So it's how the world sees you instead of how you see the world. So like DISC assessment, you're like, oh, I'm a high D, meaning you're like really driven, or I'm a high I, and that means you're very outgoing. Instead of how you psychologically approach how you do things in life, it's about how the world receives you. So, I'm always talking about with personal branding, this is who you really are, and then this is how the world sees you. And if there is a gap between those two things, then you need to figure out how to bridge that gap and let the world receive you at your best. Well, I I've been saying this forever. Well, apparently Sally Hogshead, which I've also followed and I've been using her test for quite some time now, she created some science around it, the How to Fascinate system. So they reached out to me and gave me an offer I couldn't refuse to become certified in that. And I am so proud and excited to be doing that. And so now I can not only go into businesses and actually teach the system and talk about like how teams have these different advantages. Like my advantages are passion and innovation. So I have to be emotionally connected. I like change. I don't even know where the box is, so I never really, have to stay in the box. And so these are things that I know about myself, and I know how I best communicate. So I like experiential things. I like smell, touch, taste, feel, everything to be involved, because that's what a passion communicator and personality does, and that's how I can be most effective, and that's how I can be most influential, is if I stay in my advantages. So I can now administer that test to you and then help you with your personal brand, and not just through Amber's ways, but actually using a test. So that is amazing. I'm going to find different ways to integrate this into my business. And the first way that I'm going to do it is actually through a live event just outside of Nashville. So it's in the greater Nashville area. I've done live events many, many times. I usually draw from about 5 or 6 counties in the Middle Tennessee area. But the first one I'm going to do for Fascinate, the Fascination Advantage system, is going to be right here in my hometown in Lebanon, Tennessee. It's Discover Your Highest Value with the Fascination Advantage system. So it's a live workshop. And the one thing that Sally says is different is better than better. Because somebody's always going to be better than you, right? They're going to be smarter than you. They're going to have more experience than you. I mean, somebody could be prettier than you. They could be more athletic than you. They could be more educated than you. There's always somebody who could be better, but they can't be you. And so if you can find out how you uniquely stand out in the world, then you can start to become more influential. So it's not just about leadership, but it's about being able to sell. It's about how to attract the right people and opportunities to you. I mean, how many times have you heard me say that? So this is going to be a half-ish day event. So we'll get started at 9. You'll have taken the Fascination personality test before then we'll do a half-day training on personal branding and how to apply your distinct brand to your leadership and or your business. So this is open to people who work for another company, or it could be you as a business owner. If you're a listener of this podcast, you're most likely a small business owner. You'll have handouts and worksheets, of course, and then we're going to do individual hot seats. So anybody who's worked with me one-on-one knows that I dig. And so if you come up with an anthem, so this is Sally's way of getting your personal brand into 2 words. 2 words. So you don't have to remember some 60-second elevator speech or anything like that. It's 2 words. And this is how you apply your brand to everything that you do. So mine, which I've had since way before the system, but it just happens to work for this too, is Velvet Machete. You know that I'm going to come to you with love and with the best interests of you and your business and your life and your joy and your happiness and your spiritual wellness and everything else. I'm going to come at you with the velvet machete, because I'm also going to cut the BS and we're going to get to the truth. And we're going to just talk about the things that maybe are difficult to talk about, because where the greatest amount of growth is in that gap of discomfort. And so if you can get through that discomfort and overcome what maybe you don't want to address, or maybe it's just too hard, that's where like massive transformation comes. And so I'm like the elephant in the room girl. I'm like, oh, there's that pink elephant. Like, everybody else see that? And people are like, it's like you just have to embrace the awkward. Or it could just be that maybe you're telling yourself lies in your business. And so Velvet Machete, that's where I'm coming from. I'm saying, you know what, that photo shoot, that we're gonna have to do it over again. I'm not real sure what you did there. I want to say it's great, but the reality is that is not going to evoke the emotion on your website and in social media that you thought it was. And we just need to go back to the drawing board, because we could pretend like it's great, but it's not. And so why lose even more business? Why not just go back and do it the right way? or go back and rework your body copy on your website, or do something about that logo, or work on your messaging. Why not do it the right way and then really get the results that you actually want? So Velvet Machete's mine. We'll get into that. And I will use that Velvet Machete with hot seats to get everybody who's coming to this particular event to their own anthem. So we'll just keep digging and make sure everybody leaves the room feeling great about how they're going to approach their personal brand. Of course, we'll do like a coffee break and everything and snacks, and then we'll have a full lunch included too. So we'll wrap up probably around 2 o'clock. And it's going to be a lot of fun right here in Lebanon, Tennessee at the Five Oaks Golf and Country Club, which is a beautiful, beautiful setting overlooking a gorgeous golf course. So super fun there. Of course, if you want to register for that, it's on Eventbrite. So you could look up like Amber Hurdle on Eventbrite and probably find it, but I'll also put that in the show notes. And if you're in Kentucky or Alabama or Arkansas, North Carolina, I mean, you could drive in for that. You could drive in the morning and be back home that night. I mean, we are 5 hours from a lot of places. So if you're in Atlanta, I've got a lot of listeners in Atlanta, this is your chance, man. One-on-one, it's $149. Let me tell you, you will not get my one-on-one attention for $149. Too many places. So, excuse me. Moving on, I also want to tell you about what's coming up in the podcast. So we've got Michelle Moore. She is a multi award-winning real estate sales awards winner. She has written several books, and so we have 2 episodes, part 1 and part 2, where I'm talking to Michelle about both sales and purpose. So a lot of good tips on just dealing with prospects and following up, and I mean just the whole sales process. And then of course you have to have a lot of purpose behind that. And she's all about purpose, man. Michelle's like magical. She is like, she's got a unicorn in her backyard. She's amazing. And so I'm going to share my business bestie with you. She and I do a lot together behind the scenes to keep each other on track. And then I've got Toy Sweeney coming up. We're going to talk about personal style and how your clothes are a reflection of your brand, how it's the first part of the brand that people see when you walk in the room. And we're going to talk about the importance of that and also get some great tips around that. So I've got a social media expert coming on. I have my own bookkeeping Nazi, Alex, coming in. We're going to talk financial acumen. I've got Maggie Frank Shue, who y'all might have heard me laughing about and talking about behind her back / to her face, because I say it to her all the time. But she pushes me out of my comfort zone. She did a great job with that Facebook Live campaign that we did. Y'all loved getting 10 hours back in your week every week. And so she's going to talk about list building and really being able to attract people to your email list. We've got a lot of people coming up. So more to come. I know people have been like, is Amber taking a break? Well, I've just had a lot of one-on-one branding work to do, and some clients who really needed some extra attention, and I wanted to be intentional about giving that to them because that's who I am and that's part of my brand. So I've got to, I got to give to the people who are paying before I do the free stuff. So if you've missed me for a couple weeks, that's where I've been. For those of you who are binge listening and new listeners, you didn't even know that I was gone. So just keep listening, just keep hitting play. So that's what's going on. And then so I want to come back around to what I told you I thought y'all needed some help with. Okay, so as a branding person, I'm a lot about the messaging, right? So I'm a lot about who are you at your core, what's your culture, what are your values, what it is exactly that what problems do you solve, who are your ideal customers, and being very clear about your messaging. So you want to be able to say, you want somebody to be able to come to your website or to your store or to your Facebook page and say, yep, that's for me, or no, that's not for me. Just based on your messaging and your branding. So the visual aspect of that does come, but it's a reflection of what your message is. So if you look at a logo is a logo if there's no value behind it. It's just a picture. But if you see the Coca-Cola logo, then that evokes a lot of different thoughts and emotions because their messaging is so on point, right? And so when I'm working with people and we're working on their website redesigns, we're going through rebranding, maybe internal communication with employees and that sort of thing, it gets to the point where either I'm going to have to write for them or we have to hire somebody to write for them, which not everybody can afford that volume of being able to hire out for copywriting for, all the different things that they need to have done. Or my clients have to learn how to freaking write. And you're like, whoa, Amber, I could do a lot of things, but I can't write. And I'm just saying that's nonsense because you talk. And so when you're speaking, you can speak influentially and you seem to, get both your shoes on every day and you seem to get out into the world and keep your business open. And by the way, I'll remind you that you're a driven fempreneur. So basically anything that you put your mind to, you can do. But I have a resource for you. And it's actually, there's a free guide that a Nashvilleian here, Ray Edwards, lives in this area. He is one of the highest paid copywriting coaches in the world. In fact, I think he is the highest paid copywriting coach in the world. So I know it's hard work when you're trying to write to sell your product or your service or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is unfamiliar territory. I don't know where I am. Can I have somebody at least tell me what to do? So you might not have a me in your life unless you're listening to the podcast, of course, and getting all the good juicy details of how to do business. But if you don't have me one-on-one, then what do? You're just like wandering through a website redesign with blindfold on. So what Ray has done is he has created a free ebook. So we all like free, right? It's the $2 billion sales letter that you've never heard of. So I like that. I think what happened was I was getting the behind the scenes on this earlier today. He started writing a blog post and it got out of control. So he ended up just writing an ebook. And so he is going to share the entire text of a sales letter. And when I say sales letter, that's it's persuasive copy. So a sales letter is something that you could send to a prospect, but it also could be for a sales page. It also could be for your email, emailing to try to sell something. So it's basically the format, the how to be persuasive through written word. And so he's going to teach you lessons from that letter that will allow you to write your own copy that converts. So from what I understand, this is not going to be out there very long. Some of the people that work with him are people that have been, I've met Ray, I've had breakfast with Ray. He's a great guy. He's really, really a great guy, but I know some people on his team very well, and I wouldn't send you to anybody that I didn't personally trust. And if I was being completely honest, I am a seasoned writer, but some of the content on my website I've farmed out, and I've had a copywriter help me. And you know who we went to go get like kind of the roadmap? Ray Edwards. So I'm not going to send you to anybody who I wouldn't go to myself. So there will be a link on my website where you'll just click on it and then you just put in your name and your email address, and then he's going to send you that ebook for free. So here's what I want you to do, okay? If you have a business, you have to write persuasive sales copy. You have to, in some form or fashion, unless you have a copy editor that you've got on task with you. So stop what you're doing. Go to amberhurdle.com/podcast, look for episode 24, and go get this free ebook like now. I want you to do it because you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to do that later, or, and then you're not going to because you're going to have 19,000 things going on. And so I don't want you to just go download it. I want you to pull it up and like put it on your to-do list and start looking at it and start thinking about how can I apply this? How can I be persuasive. Now that we know our personal brand, now that we know our brand, because you've listened to all these episodes, right? So you've gone back to your company culture, you've listened to all of these episodes. And so now with all of this, I want you to start thinking about your sales copy. And then what's going to happen is Michelle Moore's episodes are going to come out, and then she's going to teach you how to sell verbally and that sort of thing. So we're all in this to make money, right? We got the dollar bills, y'all. That's the definition of business. We solve problems in exchange for money. We're not, I mean, you might be a nonprofit, but most of you, it's a Bombshell Business podcast, not the Bombshell Nonprofit podcast. So I want you to do this right now. Don't let this pass you by. He's not going to have this out forever. I'm digging it right now. And so I want you to join me on that journey. Okay. Whew, I feel like that was so much. I'm going to see you next week. We are going to talk about sales with Michelle Moore. It's going to be super awesome and exciting. I want you to email me, amber@amberhurdle.com, or leave comments in the show notes. And because it does help so many other women realize how much they can learn through this podcast, I would covet your rating and review. So just go over to iTunes and click on ratings and reviews. Leave, hopefully it's a 5-star review. If it's not, that's okay too. You can be the Velvet Machete with me, right? And just let people know why they should listen to this podcast and what it's done for you. And I might even give you a shout out. So keep those emails coming. Many, many blessings to you. I absolutely believe in you. I absolutely believe in your ability to not only run a kicktail business, but to have an abundant life. I know you can do it. It's in you. You know you can do it too. And I want you to let that final word carry you through until the next episode. I will see you next week, Bombshell.
Thanks for listening to the Bombshell Business Podcast. Visit amberhurdle.com for more resources and be sure to tune in again. Cheers to you, Bombshell.